The frying pan problem. So this is one of my favorite drawing problems, and there's my frying pan. Um, I like this problem because it puts a whole bunch of the things that we've been doing all into one problem. And if you just take a frying pan and try to draw it without going about it the way that we're going about it in this drawing, you're really unlikely to get it right. And that's not to say that you can't with some experience. Just draw a frying pan beautifully. Some people just have that ability, but the rest of us have to work at it a little bit. So I'm going to do some play-by-play on the frying pan here. And so you can see what I started doing was I built the top plane, and there's an ellipse is going to go in there. So I built the top plane, and then I built it down so that it was a bottom plane as well. And now I'm cutting the bottom plane in half. And when you just go about this sort of three-dimensional drawing, just cutting things in half and drawing to the vanishing point and just linking things up, really cool stuff starts to happen. You can see that like interior three-dimensional X starting to develop. That's pretty cool looking. And if you were just drawing for fun and not trying to solve the frying pan problem, you might be able to take that in some kind of a weird direction. But the idea to start with was to just get a square in space that I knew was gonna work. Then I built it down. Then I cut everything in half, and now I'm putting the ellipse in. And it requires a little effort. I don't get this right away. I have to sort of push and pull at that ellipse a little bit. And remember, I'm filming this at an angle, so there is a little distortion. Now, what I'm doing here on the side is I'm drawing a top-down view so you can see what I'm up to. A circle fits inside a square. So the top-down view, I cut it in half, I drew the circle in there, and then what I just did on the inside is I drew another square inside the big square, and then an ellipse went in there. And what we're doing in the three-dimensional drawing now is what we're building. We only need one, but we need one concentrically smaller ellipse in the bottom plane. So if you have to rewind it to watch that again, that's what I'm doing there. I took the big plane on the bottom, I moved it in on one side, and then I used the X where it crosses that line to build the same space all the way around. Once I got that right, then I could just plug the ellipse in. And because I made it concentrically smaller, it's automatically smaller in the bottom plane than in the top plane. Once I get that right, then I just draw a line between them, and I have the angled sides of the pan. And now I get to the whole point of the frying pan exercise is in the top flat drawing I drew the handle on. The whole point behind this exercise is to get the volume of the pan done in two-point perspective so that you have the handle, the angle for the handle going through the center of the pan. Because otherwise you would dump some kind of boiling liquid on yourself when you go to pick it up. The handle has to run down the middle. It's got to be a counterweight to what's in the pan. And that's what makes it difficult when it comes to getting the perspective right. Because if you don't work the angles out ahead of time, it's really hard to get the handle going in the right way. And even when you do it right, and you're going to see in a second, I really struggle with the handle. I know that I've done everything right, and the drawing, the handle looks terrible. So I do some measuring, I distract myself, I erase it, and what's wrong with the handle is I know that the angle's right, but the handle just looks too small. So here, I'm just trying to make it wider and bigger, and it still doesn't work. And it puzzles me for a little while. But when you're standing really close to your drawing, sometimes things that are wrong look right. And at some point here, I'm like, okay, I got the handle. I know the angle's right. It's drawn okay. I'm going to go and do some other details. And then I'm going to come back to the handle, and I finally have the solution to the problem. So, but this pan has some little pouring spouts on the sides. And again, I'm using the original angles that I drew. If for the 2-point perspective plane, that's the middle of the plane that I'm putting those details on. And without knowing where those things are, I have no way of getting that right. And the pan looks pretty good right now. But we're going to have to wait for me in the past to get to the point where he confronts that handle. And, okay, so yeah, I erased it. And what I realized is that I didn't have it. I had measured how far out the handle goes wrong. And as soon as I saw that, then I just got all the confidence in the world, and I totally nail it. So you have to hang in there with these drawings. These are really difficult drawings to make, and there's so many things to keep track of. But you get such better results when you allow yourself to think this way, and just sort of draw your thoughts out loud, and really take your angles seriously. That I can't stress that enough.